Hello, I am Chico West, and this is Filter Optional.
And I'm Shannon West.
And I'm the no filter of the filter
and I'm
optional.
the filter. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'm excited. I was going to use the word excited. I'm trying to work away from that word.
Right.
I'm fired up today.
Good. I'm glad you are, because the weather sucks.
The weather does suck, but I've
think.
had some good interaction with people this morning.
Well, that's good.
Did a little kind of pre-budget planning.
Yes. Oh yeah, you called me after that. Yeah.
Yes, and so it was good. We just came back from a great vacation.
Yes, we did. Outstanding.
We had 4 nights down in Cabo.
Yes.
And I told our friends, I like Vacation Shannon.
Yeah, I mean,
Vacation
I
Shannon.
like Vacation Shannon too.
I saw Allie this morning. She's going to Cabo, and I told her that. I go, I like Vacation Shannon. I bet your husband's going to like Vacation Allie.
Yeah, well, I what are you always Vacation Chico?
And,
because, everyone's always at your service and everything else. So
I know, because I thought I was Vacation Chico as well. I was not. I struggle at times with stress, and I can get hyper focused. Some of that is with my ADD. If you listen to old episodes, there was that. You can go on to our Facebook Casa Cleana page to listen to old episodes, or you can go on to the podcast app on your phone and look up Filter Optional as the beginning.
Yes, you can.
Or on
it's
to
good
our
for
YouTube
travel.
page.
It's good for travel. I've discovered podcasts since we started doing them. I'd never really listened to podcasts until we started doing them. And then I have discovered in my older age, I don't know if it's my eyes or what, but I can't really read when I travel because it makes me sick at my stomach. And that's unfortunate, because plane ride, that's a good time to read, even if it's a magazine, but it makes me sick at my stomach. So now I listen to podcasts, and I pop my headphones in, and it makes the time go so fast. It makes flights go so fast. So that's just a little tidbit. And you can stop them. Like, if you don't like the topic, like
you
if
can
you're
switch
like,
it. Boom.
People are pausing me right now on a plane. They're switching to another topic, but hopefully they're not. And they give it a little bit, but you can give it some time. And then if you get sick of it, you just switch to another topic. And that's what I did. It was great.
I did it as well. And if you ever want to do a podcast, Kevin does podcast, and he is great. He has been our champion. He encourages us, hey, you need to get back into the studio, and we need to do another podcast. And he gets us out there on iTunes, and he gets us out there for Facebook.
Yes.
I was missing you while you were gone.
I know. We were missing this too.
Yes. And so we were thinking about this episode.
Well, we actually got a go ahead. Is that what you're going to say? We actually got a request.
Yes, we got a request for this episode. And the great thing is, when we were in Cabo, this episode is, how do you fight fair in marriage?
Yes, because we got a request because Chico's employees and the people that he is around are generally a lot younger. I mean, we can talk about how many weddings we've been to in the past 4 years when we're at that age where we shouldn't really be going to weddings, but
we're a betweener.
Yeah. Well, you just made that term up, but whatever that means. But our kids aren't old enough to be married, and all our friends are either married or divorced and maybe remarried or whatever, but we aren't going to weddings every weekend like you are in your 20s and 30s or whatever. So, but we have a lot of young couples in our lives, and they, we've had 24 years of practice, and so they're like, just tell me. They just want to get over we had to go through all the trial and tribulations about fighting, and so we had to try all the different ways of fighting. They kind of want to just get to how do we fight fair?
Yeah, and so the crazy thing is, we were in Cabo, and we didn't fight, but we came back on Tuesday night, and we got in a fight.
Yes.
And it's wild. We got back. We had an incredible time. It was really rejuvenating for both of us. Relaxing.
But I think flying from Mexico to Houston, and then it's like something happened in Houston. It's like all the emails start popping up.
The dog hadn't been taken out.
Dog, I get a text from Beck. He's, fears he's failing, and it was the end of the 6 weeks. And I mean, yeah. And the dog, our dog sitter got locked out of the house. So I was worried about Blue, and it was just a lot. And so then
we're going through customs, and you're trying to text, and we're down below, and it's not going through.
So I think it's like a taste of when your needs are not being met, your physical, emotional, spiritual, all those needs aren't being met, then you start to act a little sideways in your own personalities. Like, however you're, like, I knew because I know your personality. You were starting to freak out about, well, you actually, okay, on the plane from Houston to Dallas, do you know what I'm going to say?
Yes.
You started freaking out about the hotel bill because you were like, I thought we were quoted a 4th night free, and you were like, look at this, it has 4 charges on it, or what? And I was like, wait, they're not going to, like, not, whatever. But that is you're a bill picker, and pick apart, and you're always because of I don't know if it's ADD or what, but that a trait of ADD is that you kind of always think everybody's out to screw you, kind of mentality.
And sometimes it's also on the Enneagram 8. It's like
okay,
that as well.
So it's the 8 too. So
yes.
Just knowing your personality, which was going to be one of my first tips about, and I know you were going to talk about this too, but one of my first tips on fighting fair is, first of all, before you ever get married, or shortly after you get married, or within your first, or even if you've been married 24 years, take some personality test, whether it's Myers-Briggs or the Enneagram is a great one, and figure out what your personality is, and then strive to understand your partner's personality. Because it is your personality to kind of think everybody's screwing you or whatever, and it's mine to be codependent and be like, oh, please don't confront. Please don't go confronting the travel agent and the hotel in Mexico. Like, I want to go back. Please don't go confronting them. I don't want them to taint my tequila.
I like to confront.
Yes, and so on the plane already, my stressors of home were starting to come up, like, oh God, he's going to get home and like pick apart this. But already I was just building up this, and you were kind of building some things in your head too, because of course we had left our 16-year-old son home for 4 days, which is never recommended. I just wouldn't recommend that in parenting. You know what I mean? But we
didn't leave him at home by himself.
No.
Older
brother
makes
a huge difference.
Yes, his older brother was there for a couple of days,
and
then Rob, who works for me, was there.
And I asked Travis today, did you see Beck on Saturday or whatever? And he goes, yeah. And he goes, we had dinner together, and yeah. And then I go, well, did you go out, both nights too, and see your friends? Yeah. Okay.
A man of many words.
Sort of an unwritten rule to cover for each other.
Well, exactly. And I knew.
They were covering for each other.
Well, and I said, I'm not going to press that. But, we had the stress of not knowing what we were coming home to, and then, different personalities. Like mine first notices, because I'm kind of OCD and rule follower and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I'm noticing anything out of place, anything which you wouldn't even know if it was out of place.
But you showed me something.
I showed you a few things. No,
yes.
Okay, we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about fighting fair. But yeah, anyway.
But we didn't fight. We didn't fight about the bill on the plane.
No,
we didn't fight about any of those things. I kind of just worked through that. You understood my personality.
Exactly. But I think that could have triggered an immediate conflict.
Yeah. And so we processed that. It was healthy. We get home, Beck. We get in a fight. I like what I like some rules. One of the rules in fighting fairly is don't fear conflict. A lot of people fear conflict.
Yes.
We'll get into our fight in a little bit, but the deal is we've talked about feelings a bunch on several episodes.
Yeah.
I'm a therapist,
Yes.
No, I am a therapist.
Know. Yes, and you always therapize me.
Yes, but the deal is feelings are powerful, and the deal is fear is a driver in every single person.
And fear is a feeling. That's what you're saying. And feelings are powerful, and they're also fleeting.
They are fleeting, and they're also feelings.
Right.
Lots of times they're not even reality. But
Right.
but all of a sudden we come into a marriage. You came into it from a different family. We're not inbreds.
Right.
Okay.
We're not from Arkansas. We're not from Arkansas.
No, we're not from Arkansas. And if you're from Arkansas, no offense.
No, that's Chico's joke. It's his joke of the.
I got a family tree. It only has one branch.
Yes. It could be Oklahoma. It could be Alabama. It could be.
It couldn't be Texas.
It could be. No, not for Chico. But anyway, so I did
have to move out of San Antonio so I wouldn't marry some kind of cousin.
That's true. Yeah,
yes,
that's true.
there was I think some inbreeding down there.
Okay. Anyway, back
to the topic
and fear.
Fear, but we come into a marriage, and so I like the fact, kind of reading some different articles that you sent me.
Yes.
There was some stuff this one woman's writing about, how to fight fair in marriage. Don't fear conflict. What she talked about, she never saw her parents fight.
Right.
And it's good not to fight in front of your kids. That's another rule.
Right.
We're believers in that.
Right.
Okay. But if you don't see them having any even disagreements, that's not healthy.
Right, because your expectations
Or that, hey, they're happy, but they might not have.
That's what happens.
Normal. Remember what we talked about?
Yes.
Once again, let's kind of tie in several of our
normal.
podcasts. What is normal?
But then it can also be a fear of maybe. So if you don't see your parents fight, or if you do see them have conflict, then you're afraid to show conflict. You're afraid of conflict because
you
maybe
might have
your
some
parents
trauma
ended up in divorce.
Yes. Or maybe they ended up in divorce when they didn't fight.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's both. It's both sides of the same coin. They, didn't fight or fight. You have a fear of, that's both a fear of conflict, because you fear bringing it up because you don't want to fight, but you also fear actually fighting.
Yes, because of what might occur. Because of your old traumas or wounds. Oh, we've talked about traumas and wounds. Yeah, I'm bringing it all in.
I know.
Don't fear conflict. Conflict is actually good. Everyone needs,
but
that.
If you can fight fair and healthy, when you fight unfair and in an unhealthy manner, then conflict is not good.
No,
it's not. It's damaging.
But it is
trauma producing.
I don't know if it's good. I like this sentence.
It's healthy.
Conflict is an opportunity for growth. It's not necessarily leads to growth, but it can be an opportunity for growth when you have some guidelines, when you have some parameters, when you have.
But you can't tell me
boundaries.
Yeah, but you can't say, "Oh, Shannon, let me confront you on this. Let's fight about this because it's an opportunity for you to grow." You can't tell me that. I know.
I wasn't saying that.
I'm just clarifying that.
Okay, well,
I'm
glad for the clarification.
If you can within yourself think, okay, I can grow from this. I can grow from this, but that takes practice in certain. Because I think another. So we've talked about knowing personality. You really have to know the other's personalities, and you can do that pretty quickly by taking a simple. I just like the Enneagram right now, I
like the Enneagram because it talks about the gifts and some of the, maybe I don't even know if they use the word weakness, but what are things not to do? You're a 2,
yes.
You're the nurturer, helper,
yes.
Needed love and appreciation. They have incredible interpersonal skills. They see through the lens of interpersonal relationships. You wake up thinking about relationships and stuff like that.
Value relationships the most. And so when my relationship with you is in conflict, that destroys me.
Yes. And it gives you anxiety and all that stuff. And so one of the things that I know about you is don't correct you in public. You have to be, critical feedback. I have to be careful in giving critical feedback because sometimes you don't process it the same way.
Right.
I'm an 8 So
Yes.
I'm a challenger, but I like people to shoot straight with me. And when you shoot straight with me, it's like in our conflict 2
Yes.
nights ago,
Yes.
you shot straight with me, and I go, I appreciate that. But if you waffle, that's what is just not good.
I know, but you just recently told me it's better to be direct with me because you are sensitive.
Yes.
But I guess because you are an 8 or whatever, but you are sensitive, and so I definitely feared wounding you by telling you things, but it turns out it's hard to hurt your feelings.
Yeah, it's hard to hurt my feelings, but it's also when you're direct with me, and you were direct with me in our conflict, and I truly valued that, and you painted a good picture of my approach with our son,
Yes.
and how I didn't need that, But for me to be critical of you, it's like it's like I don't need to do that in public. I know that. I need to be appreciative of you. You need to know that I appreciate you. And it doesn't even need to be in words. It can be, in actions and actually listening and being attentive.
Yes, for sure. Because I don't like it when you lead with, I hesitate to share this with you because I'm just afraid you're not gonna,
Right now?
listen no.
When you lead with that.
Yeah, when you lead
When
a
I
conflict
lead.
or a conversation, like if we're having
I'm hesitating. Oh, I get it. I see that.
when we're having a conversation and you say to me, well, I hesitate to say this or say that. And I'm kind of like, okay, well, come on. I mean, and,
Yeah.
And you're right. I don't necessarily want you to be as direct as you would like me to be with you. But it doesn't mean that I'm not listening,
Yes. And so sometimes I pause and I'm a believer in this. I've used it to an extreme, okay? But curiosity is very good. In
I know.
any relationship, it is everything points to that. I've used it to an
But
extreme.
Yes, because here's the thing. I think you mean, and tell me if I'm wrong, by curiosity, it's your 2-word question that I hate the most.
How come?
That's right. And so you use that as a tool to ask a curious question. And it works great in your therapy and all that stuff, I feel quite sure. But I would rather talk about, I think with fighting fair, you have to find out what the real issue is. That's getting curious.
Yes, and what's the real issue, and stay on the real issue, and don't attack each other.
Yes,
the real issue is key.
But it takes so much practice to get to the real issue. Like, for example, last night, I cooked dinner. We don't have much going on because we've been out of town, and as any woman or grocery shopper, whoever the grocery shopper is in the house knows that when you come back from town, you don't have a bunch of stuff in the refrigerator. So I cooked dinner
And your
and did all that
son
stuff.
pointed that out.
I know.
Well.
Yes, I know. Confronted me basically, but so I cooked dinner, and then you enjoyed the dinner, and
did.
then I walked, kind of brushed past you to clean up the dinner, and you turned around and handed me your bowl.
It was literally like
Chico, wait.
If you show me,
we were
just
equally
went like that.
we were equally as close
you
to
were
the sink.
standing up.
We were equally as close to the sink, and so
I
looked at you and I said,
"It's a
I'm
little
like,
harder reach
God,
for me."
Are you seriously so used to being served in Cabo that you can't put your dish up?
I would have had to lean
Okay,
a
so
lot further.
now listen to what you did though. So you did put, because I refused to take it. You did put it in the sink.
You set a boundary, which
Yes.
boundaries are good in fighting.
But so we didn't get in a fight right then about it because I chose to just set a boundary and not do it for you. But then you did just lay it in the sink. There was no rinsing out. There was no putting.
And it was good chili, and so it was all.
I know.
I understand that.
Anyway,
That makes
but
sense.
I'm saying the real issue, we could have gotten in a huge fight right then because I was ready to rumble because the whole sink was full of chili and stuff and whatever, and you just set your bowl down and then you went and got on the couch. But I chose to choose my fighting fairly because the issue wasn't that I had all the dishes in the sink or whatever. You do that all the time. I mean, that wasn't the issue. The issue was that you weren't thinking about me and what would make my life a little bit easier as we're coming back.
The issue also wasn't it. I think it has to do with that, but I wouldn't be an active participant at that moment in our family, helping you do the dishes, put that stuff up. It would have taken 3 minutes of my life.
Exactly.
And I discounted that, and I just
and that's when I start to feel like I don't have a partner.
Yes.
And I think when one spouse or whatever starts to feel like they don't have a partner, then they're just, as they're doing the dishes, seriously, like what's going on in their head is like,
but right there, this goes into
I can't deal with him. Resentment.
But I like what you said. I feel like I don't have a partner. To actually share your feelings is a healthy way, and not attack.
But that's the real issue. Is I felt like I didn't have a partner. But
you have to stay at
most
the
couples,
issues.
Most couples are going to be fighting about the dishes in the sink.
Oh,
actually.
for sure.
And you're going to be saying things to me like, like 10 years ago, you would say things like, I just want to sit on the couch for a second. Does it have to be on your time? Does this have to happen on your time? If I get the dishes done by the end of the night, is that okay with you? Like, are you so uptight that you have to have them done right now? I just wanted to sit on the couch and watch the show, and then if that's what our fight would be like. And I would say, no, you won't. You're not going to get it done.
And so
it's
this
not
goes
gonna
back.
happen.
This goes back to the young couples that we've spent a lot of
That's
time
what I'm saying.
mentoring. Yes. We did some premarital counseling. I've actually officiated a wedding.
Yes.
There's a lot of them, and then they get married. The honeymoon's over. The train has left the station. They're married now, and then all of a sudden, most of us don't know how to fight fair.
Right.
And so it comes to exactly.
Because
you gave
it's
a
not
great
about the dishes.
That's the issue. And so the deal is the Gottman Institute, the Gottmans, they've been studying marriage for freaking over 40 years. They've collected all this data. And what they say is Gottman research tells us that most couples have fights about nothing. It would have been right there is a prime example that most fights have to do with nothing.
Right.
When actually, we would have talked about me being on the couch and you being,
I would have stormed upstairs pissed, doing a little social experiment, leaving the dishes in the sink, thinking, well, he said he's going to do them and doesn't have to be on my time. And I would have gone upstairs and then I would have gone to bed. No, I would have woken up this morning really early.
Thinking about those dishes and if they're freaking done.
And they would have still been in the sink. Because
Probably.
I know your personality.
But not
you make empty promises on things like that.
Yes, but that's where we've gotten in fights, and so and then all of a sudden you dig in by going upstairs.
Yes.
I dig in, and then we're not fighting fair, and then it comes out sideways, and then the next day we still don't fight fair. And it's not really even about the dishes.
Okay, and so I purposefully chose even this morning because the dishes were still in the sink. Because I was exhausted. I had to take Beck to the doctor early this morning, and it's raining, and it's terrible weather,
and you are not
a morning person.
Let me rephrase that again. You are not a morning person.
No, I'm not, but they were supposed to be done last night. Well, no, because we didn't make that deal. I just used that as an example. But so this morning, I chose not to let it bother me because there is certain personal responsibility I think you have to take once you're in a marriage that all your perfect needs aren't going to be met all the time. And
well,
so
and that's
they didn't
fighting,
get loaded last night.
That's fighting
and
fair.
They were still,
but I like what you're talking about with feelings. Is like let's go back to those feelings. We need to describe our feelings and we don't need to become our feelings. And we can become our feelings by being passive aggressive. By throwing the dish in the sink. Whatever the deal is, we don't really most of us, in my experience, have never been taught how to actually describe our feelings in a healthy way. Yeah. Going back to our episode about feelings, is most of us, if we were having feelings when we were kids, and we came home and we had fear, pain, or shame, or guilt, and like no one likes me and stuff like that, I'm not smart or whatever,
Right.
our parents would say, you shouldn't feel that way.
Right, because you are smart and you're beautiful in my eyes.
Yes.
You're my mom. Like,
exactly.
You're supposed to feel that way.
So we do that, and so we bring that into the marriage.
Right.
And so when we talk about fighting fair, is like, I think what's helped us, we do fight, we do have conflict. It is normal. We're two different personality types,
Yeah.
big time. But I truly value you and when you talk about the 8, I mean, you really do a good job, being direct with me, but you also really you push back in a good way, which makes me a better man. You do a good job in that regard.
I don't know if I do totally, but that's with a lot of practice. But I do think that.
But we understand, the other thing is where I was going, is we understand, okay, you understand how I grew up, and, I had a big trauma, tragedy in my life early on, my addiction, my family system. I understand your family system. They avoid conflict at all cost.
Yeah.
They get
Well, it's uncomfortable. We're all probably 2s or whatever. I mean,
yes, or peacemakers.
Or peacemaker, or 9s.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but, and so I do think that also encouraging young couples to steer away from, this seems obvious to me now, like it's like kind of stating the obvious for me, but to steer away from words like always and never, because that makes it about not the real issue.
Oh.
When you say you always leave the dishes in the sink, even though it's true, you shouldn't say it, because it's really not. It's not. You can't say somebody's always or never. Those are just two bad words to use.
Well, and a couple other things.
That triggers people and sets them off.
Well, if you also bring in, the other person's friends or family, you need to leave that out.
Yeah.
Understand that, but don't bring that in. I mean, that's just not fighting fair at all.
No.
It's hard to do this one, but to really set time limits.
What do you mean, time limits?
Like, hey, if you know you're going to get in a fight, take a time out,
Oh, well, yeah,
break.
yeah. But you did used to, just because you're a therapist, I think you did used to want to have immediate resolution. Like, what are you feeling now? What are you feeling now? Tell me what you're feeling right now. And I don't roll that way. I would have to take a hot minute.
that goes along with most communication is, about 15 to 17% is actual words. The rest of it is body language, tone.
Yeah.
So you have to watch your tone. And so what do when I'm doing that stuff, I'm kind of beating you down.
Well, yeah.
And that tone
bit, yes.
is not good.
No.
You got to watch that. And the cool thing is, when we did fight our most recent fight 2 nights ago, I thought it was a fair fight. We actually heard each other, and we came up with a resolution, and we stayed on the issue.
Yeah. I was afraid it was going down negative train, though, because I just
Well,
like
you
it was.
struggle, I think, at times with fear of that stuff. Some of that is your personality.
Yeah, fear, but also, like, I was like, why right now? Like, I mean, because of your personality, you are kind of
I get stuck on something.
you do get stuck, but then you're also kind of like, what is it, like not hyper emotional, but hyper focused. It is, but there's also like this like raw like you feel a feeling and you gotta figure it out, and whatever. And I just was coming off. My re-entry is totally different from vacation, but so I was afraid that you were gonna dig in and get hyper focused, but you didn't. You kind of released somehow.
Yeah, but I do, and the deal is
Maybe it's you want me. You're passionate, and so when you're thinking about something right then, and it's
I want everybody on
it's on the
board.
top of your nerves are on every end, and you're passionate about something, and you're trying to, and then you were feeling. I think you were feeling like I wasn't on board with your passion right then. I was.
Well, and that goes back to the Enneagram. Is there's healthy 2s, there's healthy 8s, there's average 2s, average 8s, and unhealthy 2s and unhealthy 8s. But part of the 8 is, I want to assert power and control, and so sometimes, if I'm in a healthy place, I can do that and then pause and step back and hear when you're direct. When I'm not in that healthy place, I become a beat down.
Well, and you were tired, and for whatever reason, I wasn't so tired. I was pretty relaxed, but
I was relaxed. I was tired
you said
and
you were
relaxed.
Exhausted.
Yes.
So.
But that those are things is like remember going back. Don't let fear. Don't have fear avoid conflict.
Well, and I think also if you have something in your head that's bugging you about your spouse, then before you voice it, maybe think about it or whatever. Like something that bugs me about you that I've learned to accept and voice only when I really think it's appropriate is that you love T-shirts that say inappropriate things. Or have inappropriate pictures in them.
I have a T-shirt that says this.
Yes.
Welcome to the shit show.
Yes. Okay.
I love.
So Chico likes to collect
favorite T-shirt.
Yes. But I've been thinking about this.
I gave a sticker.
I know.
To the TSA agent.
I know because she saw it on your phone. Yes. But you love, and I've had to think about this over the years of our marriage because it bugs me. It bugs me that you draw that attention to yourself because some of it can be negative. Like when you wanted to put a secede sticker on the back of your car, and I was like, you don't need to do that. But you just get kind of seemingly attention seeking. But I just think it's your personality. You just like it. You just think it's funny and you like it. But so I have over the years had to decide when in a fair way, like give you an explanation of the real issue, not instead of getting mad and saying, you can't wear that. I have to explain to you why it means something to me for you to not try to be the center of the attention. I mean, like if you're trying to wear your welcome to the shit show shirt to a wedding or something, I'm like, no, you just... You can't wear that because it draws attention to you, and this is not about you. But anyway, so
yes,
and so we all. And I know that there are things that drive you crazy about me, and you maybe, but
maybe. Hello.
But I'm not gonna. You have to think about how to approach it.
I think I have a list of them over here.
You probably need to.
Oh yes, they're there.
Mm-hmm. You probably need. It's short.
It's long.
You probably have to think about how to approach me on those things. I'm just saying that's a better way to fight fair instead of getting all heated and then you say things you're going to regret because.
Well, I mean, we don't need to attack. We need to. I've been tweaking out on a book by Brene Brown.
Yes.
And she talks about it's, daring to lead, being a leader. But you can apply this to marriage is rumble with the vulnerability. Be vulnerable, but how do I rumble in that place? How do I create that space, that container to, be vulnerable, but, talk about some tough issues? Yeah. Stay on the issue like what we talked about. Don't fight in front of your kids. But really rumble in that vulnerability because we're all vulnerable, but how do we rumble in that? And so getting curious is one of the characteristics that, these websites that you sent is like really getting curious to really understand the person more instead of building a defense.
Well, getting curious without anger.
Yes. And, and then process underneath what the anger is. Right. Because lots of times underneath the anger is probably a lot of fear or pain or shame.
Right. And when we were getting married, we did do personality tests, which helped a ton. And then like love language and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I think all of that is super important and valid. I think it's great tools. But then we were also told I kind of think they're like don't ever go to bed angry. It's like, well, how can you control that? Okay, so we just stay up all night? Because, there are times that I have definitely gone to bed angry and I have had no control over that. And then I think it's almost a false sense of like pushing it under the rug. Like just as long as, and I'm such a rule follower that I'm like, okay, I'm not going to go to bed. Okay, I'm not angry anymore, but I really am still angry. And so you wake up thinking, okay, well, I'm not supposed to wake up angry because I went to bed not angry, but I'm still angry. You see what I'm saying? It ends up pushing your feelings. And you don't.
But it helps if you do some of these things we're talking about by not going to bed angry. Lots of times we go to bed angry when we're not processing our feelings.
Well, right.
When we're getting away from the issue.
Think about these things,
when there isn't, some sort of resolution.
Well, no one gave a guidebook for how to not go to bed angry. They just said, don't go to bed angry.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So
Perfect.
I am encouraged because we had a fight. It worked out well. Don't let fear drive you away from conflict. Conflict happens when you get married.
Yes.
It doesn't mean, don't assign meaning to the fact that you have some conflict. You're two different creatures.
Yes. And quite frankly, we are two different creatures, but we are one in a marriage. But I wasn't going to give you the power over my joy that I had just experienced after being gone for 4 days. I think you kind of, you're a fighter and you kind of look for a fight sometimes or a rumble or whatever. And I just didn't cave.
No, you set some boundaries and that was good, So if you have more questions on this, we can expound on it, but we appreciate you listening in, being attentive to...
Yeah. Go learn about each other and yourself. Learn about yourself and how you can
be better equipped and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Until next time, Casa Cleaner Production with Kevin as our producer. Thank you very much, and you can look up CasaCleanaTreatment.com.
Yes.